When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching Septum Sin versus the World. I'm Septum Sin, this is Kotobuki Jake,
Hi.
and we're here to show you what we... Wait, no, not what we got.
They
got.
No!
Yes, they.
They got.
The nebulous they.
As I move it down here.
Yes.
Alright, so...
And my apologies up front. Bad allergy week. Hopefully I won't sound too horrendous.
yeah,
Just a flesh wound.
it's interesting because you've got some LaCroix there, and I actually watched a recent video about how they are losing sales hand and foot right now.
No soup for you.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But either way, I guess let's get started. So this week we have quite a few fun things, but alas, no Gundam. And you can check them out right now. So we'll start off with something that is new,
Right?
which is a take on something that is not so new.
Right.
And we have the new Hellboy movie. Yeah. You know, there's a part of me that does want to see this. I've been told that it does satisfy a certain need when it comes to the Hellboy universe. It's a slight bit gory, and it's a much darker take on the character. Whereas, of course, the Del Toro take with Ron Perlman was a more comedic take on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Del Toro has plenty of darkness himself.
Yeah.
And and he didn't play it for laughs, but there were a lot of laughs to be had.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's more Ron Perlman's portrayal of the character. He did
Ron
an excellent
Perlman was
job.
great.
Though I've heard this one's a much more angsty type character, so maybe that's people love that angsty, like bad boy type characterization. Maybe the Sasuke of Hellboy.
Well, that whole dark and gritty. Oh, you gotta do dark and gritty for the kiddies nowadays.
Well, we know what dark and gritty did for DCU. Everybody loves that.
At least this
one.
is not a Zack Snyder film. Well, it was originally put into production with Guillermo del Toro involved. And eventually there were creative differences, and he went on to do other things, and they took it in a very different direction. And my impression is that the studio said, this is what kids want, we'll do this. But
Always
I will say the preview looked good. The preview did look like they had some dark humor in it. It looked like the guy they cast to play him did a good job.
Yeah.
It looked interesting. It looks interesting. But I have been told it's much darker. And I am concerned that I have been told it's very gory. And that is not my cup of tea. But once he sees it and tells me that it's no worse than what we watch on an average Movies Galore week, then I'll probably give it a go.
So I take it you're not going to see the third in the trilogy of the Rob Zombie House of a Thousand Corpses?
Oh, hell no.
No?
Hell no.
Oh, okay. Well, hell is actually where they're from in that one.
Maybe if they paid me a lot of money, I might. I might. So anyway, next up, this is a very, very notable week for Criterion releases. And we have a re-release of Assassination Classroom. They are totally unrelated. I don't know why, I just felt like doing that. Assassination Classroom is on Funimation's classic line. They're re-releasing it. Was this the original non-limited release? So
yeah.
you see, season 1 was a 2-parter. They really tried to milk this one for all they could. I watched the first 5 episodes streaming and then got distracted by life and never got back to it. I really enjoyed what I saw. For those of you who don't know, the basic premise is Koro-sensei is this weird alien-like being who, I believe, if I recall correctly, blows up the moon to demonstrate his power and tells people on Earth, I will teach this class for 1 year. I will train them, meanwhile, not just teach them, but train them in the art of assassination. If one of them kills me this year, everything's cool. Y'all are good. If not, I blow up the Earth. And so it's a very interesting deal. But you got this class with this little blue-haired dude, Nagisa, I know is one of the central characters. I really don't recall most of the others. They are a motley mix of people. And some of them come from it's a school for delinquents, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So some of them are very much jazzed about this. I think this red-haired dude tries to kill him from the word go. But it's a fun little show, and supposedly Koro-sensei is one of the best teachers in any anime ever, which is kind of funny given the premise of the series. And I'm just very interested in this one. The fact that the classics line is going to have a lower price point, and it's in one piece instead of 2.
One Piece.
I like this idea. No, we don't have a One Piece in the classics line yet.
That's it.
I'm sure it will be.
When it ends, a condensed entire series of One Piece that size.
Discotheque would do it. But at any rate, yeah, so that one, if you don't have it already, this will be a great opportunity for that.
Oh, yeah. Be sure not to block the mic.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting.
Any case, another great film is getting a sequel. Maybe the restart of a series, and I believe it was a Sci-Fi Channel exclusive. And that is Critters Attack.
The greatest of films.
You know, the Critters series is one that creeped me out as a child, but that's not hard. I was creeped out by most horror as a child. But I got to really like the series as I got older. I remember actually getting this thing here, which is a basic 4-pack for $5 of all 4 of the original Critters films. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. You have the strange shape-shifting alien cops that try to hunt the critters down. And they these little, little puffballs that can grow spikes. And they eat people and pretty much anything else. So they are fun movies. They're worthwhile checking out. And if you really enjoy those old-fashioned creature features, like Gremlins, for instance, I think you'll enjoy this. And I need to see the new movie. If any of you have actually seen it, let me know. I'd like to know. Is it good? Is it crap? I could see it being crap. But I'd still watch it because I expect some of this to be crap.
All right. So, speaking of crap, well, actually, I have no idea if this is crap. It could be a great big diamond in the rough, or it could be a shiny turd. I have no idea. But every now and then you see a movie from people that you like, people you respect, you want to see all their movies, and you see this movie and you go, meh, I don't really want to see that. It looks boring to me. So, thus is the case with the most recent offering from Leica Studios. Now, granted, the Box Trolls didn't really catch my fancy at first either, and I ended up loving it. You know, I love the movie, but I wasn't looking forward to it. I thought, eh. But the newest film from Leica Studios is a film called Missing Link, and it stars Hugh Jackman as a missing link. And also stars, I think it was Zoe Saldana and Zach Galifianakis, who I'm sure many people would say is a...
So, essentially, it's... Oh, you go ahead.
Well, essentially, you're looking at a very, very talented studio that has made some great films. Box Trolls, Coraline, and Kubo and the Two Strings are all three classic films. And not so great film. Paranorman was fun, but, you know, kind of forgettable. But Missing Link just, it doesn't look like all these people go back to these, like, First Man. Like, wasn't that First Man, wasn't that what the Aardman one was called? I never did see that. And it's like...
So there you go. That's the film it is.
He brings up Harry and the Hendersons. Well, maybe. Who knows? If it's a remake of Harry and the Hendersons, maybe that would be worth... Yeah, I don't know. But, I'll give it a go eventually. I will have to. Leica's awesome. I gotta give it a go. I just... Meh.
And now that I know where it's coming from, I'll have to add it to my wish list.
Right.
Alright, next up is one I would really like to get from Arrow Entertainment. But I have it, and I have a hard time wanting to part with my money these days,
Right.
unless it's
Especially
something
'cause
really
you have the
amazing.
High School Reunion collection.
Yeah, and that's Weird Science, which, you know, I watched all the time. There were a handful of movies I watched a lot of, and it's a fair number of films, but it's a small number in comparison to what I have seen these days. Because I'd watch them over and over again. And Weird Science is one of those I watched constantly as a kid. I loved that film. It was my favorite. It's actually still is my favorite of this actual guy's work.
John Hughes.
Yeah. And of course, this is the edition I have. You know, such a superior edition.
Well, it has really no bonus features, does it? Not much.
Featuring Oingo
Oh,
Boingo and the general public.
Well, that's the music, yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw this one at all until he showed it to me, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I mean, it is a good film. It's a very enjoyable one. It's about this group of guys. They're kind of the nerds in their class. They're bullied and all this stuff, and they want a date. Well, they said to themselves, you know, we could create our own woman through computers. This was during an age many of you are too young to understand. But there was a time when people thought the same thing that they do today about hackers. That people with computers can do anything. And I mean anything. Like create a woman or a nuclear missile, which they had appear in their house.
Or a woman and a nuclear missile.
And so they create this really sexy, powerful woman. Let's see here, played by Kelly LeBrock. And she, of course, teaches them the fine ways of manhood.
Of course.
In more ways than one. So, if you haven't watched it, you can watch it. It may not have aged very well. society sense. Much like Ferris Bueller's Day Off hasn't aged entirely well.
But it's still a fun movie.
But it is a fun movie. Just kind of put on your 80s glasses and move forward.
Or your Deadpool glasses. I loved how he paid homage to Ferris Bueller at the end of the movie. It was great. Okay, so if you would like to see a modern film in which someone creates a woman out of Cybertronics who ends up being this very powerful individual, and we have another offering this week, and this was one that intrigues me very much due to its background, and also kind of POs me a little bit because James Cameron. But it also POs me for another reason in a minute. But I'm speaking, of course, of his long-awaited adaptation of an old anime/manga property, Alita Battle Angel. It's coming out this week. And
he's been working on this for years.
He worked on it for years and finally ended up stepping back and letting, of all people, Robert Rodriguez take over as director. And this is what has me the most intrigued. Rodriguez is flippin' awesome. He has a very unusual and distinctive directorial style, a little bit on the bloody gory side for my taste, but I think he's a really excellent director, and he has done I was talking with someone just the other day. Rodriguez has done a tremendous deal to get Mexican and Tejano actors a lot more work. Like, he helped launch the careers Salma Hayek and Danny Trejo and Michelle Rodriguez, and some of these people owe a lot to him. So I really, as well as putting Antonio Banderas on the U.S. map with Desperado. So I want to see him working with Cameron. I'm curious. It's got to be a strange mishmash of styles, but I'm curious about it. The reason why this one kind of POs me is I really wanted to see this in theaters. I mean, this is the kind of movie you go to theaters to see. I tried several times to get friends together, and everyone gave me a non-committal, yeah, I want to, but I ended up buying Aliens for the discounted ticket. It's the only reason I bought Aliens when I did. And when I finally got a chance to use the ticket, the damn movie was no longer in town. And I'm like, these short windows are just too short.
Well, it came out around the time that I think How to Train Your Dragon 3 was out.
And that had a short-ass window.
What was the other one? And Lego Movie 2.
Yeah.
And to me, I had a choice.
Yeah.
The first time I said I could see Alita or I could see Lego Movie 2. I chose Lego Movie 2. I went back to the theaters again, and I said, I have a choice. I'll see Alita or I'll see How to Train Your Dragon 3.
I didn't get to any of them. I was so annoyed. But at any rate, I will finally be seeing it. I actually got in real early on the wait list at the library, but so I'll be getting probably in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. But I wanted to see it in theaters. But it will be coming out. So those others of you who missed it in theaters, you got a chance.
Just get like a big screen, get a movie projector, get out in the backyard.
Then again, if it hews more toward Rodriguez than Cameron, it could be a good small screen movie. You know, the sad thing is, I think the only Rodriguez movie I saw on the big screen was Planet Terror.
Oh.
That's kind of sad. I could barely stomach it, but I could watch. But I stayed put in my seat because even though I was physically ill, it was so freaking hilarious. And I didn't have to pay for the ticket. That's always a plus.
Oh. Well, speaking of freaking hilarious,
yes,
Cutie Honey Universe is getting a release. I've only seen 4 Cutie Honey series, actually, and I've only seen part of.
How many are there?
5-ish.
Huh.
So there was the original one, which I've seen a few episodes of, and I own.
Yeah.
There's the new Cutie Honey series.
I believe I saw that one.
That one I've seen in its entirety. There's the live action, which kicked ass, but will never make it to the United States.
It needs to. I saw some episodes of that. It was so
There was the new OVA, which is also getting a release soon.
right.
And then there is this newer one, Cutie Honey Universe. I'm not sure what the relation is. Maybe that and the OVA are the same or they're related. I haven't seen, I haven't investigated. But if it's anywhere near as entertaining as everything else I've seen, Cutie Honey, it'll be entertaining, it'll be ecchi, it'll be fun. And Cutie Honey is, by the way, a robot girl who does a sort of a magical girl transformation where all her clothes kind of go off. And and she kind of leches after the little boy that she's with, which is differing ages depending on the series you look after. And that's pretty much the.
Well, it's also very important to note that it's a Go Nagai, and one of his biggest franchises. And yes, he's right. The live action was so awesome. It needs an American
Now,
release.
it does have an excellent theme song.
Yes,
I love the theme song.
All right. Now this has an excellent theme song too. In fact, the theme is many people cite is one of the most memorable things. I was serious. This is a big week for Criterion releases. We have 2 of them. One of them is a re-release, which is kind of strange. Criterion occasionally will come back and repackage movies they've already released. My hope is that the repackaging will include a lot of new stuff. I haven't actually looked, and this one has a lot to begin with. This was already a 2-disc collection. I'm speaking, of course, of Spike Lee's most famous joint, Do the Right Thing, which I think might be his only film that has a Criterion, or one of the only ones.
I'll tell you what, hold yours over like right in front of you here and up a little. There you go. And I'm going to show you guys what the new one looks like right here. And you can compare the 2.
Yes.
You might turn it.
There we
you
go. There we go.
So they kind of have a different color scheme
Very
going.
different cover, yeah. But, so basically, the original one already had an audio commentary by Spike Lee, Ernest Dickerson, Wynn Thomas, and Joe Lee. It has introduction by Spike Lee, 60-minute documentary, The Making of Do the Right Thing, etc., 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 etc. There's a whole lot of stuff there.
It's
so
like a paragraph.
I'm hoping the new one has all of that and more. I'm hoping. Maybe even some tie-ins to Black Klansman or something like that. It would be really cool. Maybe an updated interview with Spike Lee would be really cool. I need to check and see. But the fact is, this is an excellent film. I mentioned the theme song, Fight the Power, is like this big theme throughout the movie. One of Lee's only major acting roles. Also features his usual cast of characters, Danny Aiello and John Turturro and some other folks in there, Giancarlo Esposito, etc., etc. Ossie Davis is in there. He's always cool. Major release. This is. I'm curious about Criterion choosing to do a re-release. Like I said, I'm hoping they've justified it with awesome stuff. I do need to get this on Criterion. I do not yet have it as part of the collection, so this might be my time to spring for it.
All right.
Yes.
So, last but not least, on my end, is another one that's going by. Is it an Essentials or a Classic?
I don't think it was labeled either one. It might just be a condensed
Yeah, I was thinking,
repackaging.
because I don't recall it being any of them on the thing.
Right.
And that is the series Nichijou, which is a slice of life series. It is one of those series that is, I don't know, I've seen the first episode of it. We watched that together.
Right.
It's about these schoolgirls. They're doing the schoolgirl thing, and there's one that's a wind-up girl for some reason, and just odd stuff. To me, I was kind of bored by the first episode, but I was intrigued enough to say, okay,
Isn't this the one about the club that studies weird things? Or am I getting that mixed
It
up
says,
with something?
some of the creators of K-On! And Lucky Star.
Oh.
And you see, this is the version I have, which actually would count as a
Which
pickup
makes it
because
a Kyoani, does it not?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And it's got a good pedigree, so it's worth checking out. It has a following. It really does. You see, here's another. See, they have a little bit of an alternative cover if you get the slip cover. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like this cover, actually, a lot. You see.
Yeah. That looks fun.
So, you know, I'm glad I got it when I got it. I got it when it was on one of the sales Right Stuff did. Or was it Funimation? I can't remember. It's one of those two sales. I remember I got it for less than $30 because that's what my usual to go for Funimation stuff had been at the time, because that was you knew you had an okay deal.
Right.
But this is probably now the size of this.
Ah. And those are both series I must get. Eventually.
All I got on sale.
Yep. Speaking of getting stuff on sale, this I'm ending I saved the best for last, and that was tough to do because I was excited about this. And when you watch our new list on Criterion movies that need a Criterion release, you will see we led off with a reference to this, because on our old one, which we still recommend that you go back and watch, this was one I put forward as a movie that desperately needed a Criterion release, and that I was baffled that it had not yet gotten one, and it now is getting one. And I'm speaking, of course, of the film adaptation of George Orwell's 1984, which came out in 1984.
Inconceivable!
And featured John Hurt and Richard Burton. If I recall correctly, it was one of Burton's very last films, actually. He died not too long after that. Featured cinematography by Roger Deakins, early in his career. Michael Radford film. But this is a very excellent adaptation of a very famous, and justifiably so, famous novel. Very dark and twisted, and
and this is what it looks like.
This is what it will look like. Yes, put that there for your comparative thing.
And it's a much cooler cover, and it's going to have special features, unlike that one.
This is, as far as I know, the only version out that you will have any shot of finding.
Out of print version.
And it's not easy to find. So it'll
lucky.
be very nice. This was one of the reasons I said it needs a Criterion release, because it needs to go back in print. And now is as timely a moment as ever for it to get a re-release. And I really want to get that. And it's coming out during the sale, which means that I will get it during this sale. And I'm happy. And if you want to get it, you have about 2 weeks. You'll have about a week and a half after it comes out to get to your local Barnes & Noble, or order it directly off of Amazon or Criterion and get it cheap.
Well, I know of somebody who's probably going to be using that for our number 100.
Yes.
We got to pick out some very special pickups. I got a lot of them, but we'll see how I can. We'll figure it out. In any case,
I was going to say, it's very nice how the first time we did the Criterion list, when I was drafting it, they announced within a week a release of one of the ones I was drafting, and then one of the ones on that list came out just in time for this one. So maybe one of the ones on our list this time will come out just in time for the fall. And that would be great. I love it if we can keep it like that.
They're watching you specifically.
Yes. Well, we keep this up, I'm sure Big Brother will be watching. All right.
I hope you enjoyed this. We ran a little bit long this time, but I'm hoping that we will have enough entertainment for you to have stayed the whole way through. Let us know, of course, what you're going to be watching this week, or what you're planning on picking up.
Right.
Of course, we will then see you on the next one.
Goodbye. Goodbye.